and seasoned folks bring this presence and this peace to the room.
You hope so. Because if you get that far and you don't, it's trouble.
It's trouble. I love that.
Right.
Ron,
What's up?
thank you so much for being with us today.
It's a pleasure to be here.
Tell me, how did you start serving coffee with a skateboard theme in Philadelphia?
Oh my God, that's the long story. The short version of the long story is we lived in Brooklyn, and I was working in television. My wife was working in television, and we weren't together. The name of our coffee skateboard shop is Together Skateboarding, and we were not living lives together. I would be on the road. I'd be in Nebraska, or I'd be in the Yukon, or I'd be on the road hopscotching around the country and not with my family, which is the most important thing in my life. So I was just not there. And you're living in New York City, you're living in Brooklyn, and you're spending all the Brooklyn, New York City money to live there. And it was like time to reassess what's important. What do we want to do? And the same time pandemic hit, everyone reassessed their life. Everyone looked around and said, is this working for me? Am I working for it? And I didn't want to do that anymore. And we looked around, what were the things we like? Well, I like hanging out. I'm a sober person, so I'm not hanging out in bars. A coffee shop's a great hang for me. I like a coffee shop. And then during the pandemic, I reconnected to skateboarding in a way I hadn't in years. Started skating in 1986, put it down, got very serious about career and life, and didn't skate. And I reconnected to it in the pandemic and really found joy in it. And I wanted to be with joy in my life. So that made it easier. We wanted to come home to Philadelphia, and we thought about what could we do? So how about a live workspace? That's a coffee shop. How about a live workspace? That's a skate shop. How about all of that? And that's what we've done in Brewreytown. On 27th and Thompson, we have a coffee skate shop named Together Skateboarding, and every day we wake up, serve the community, and when at all possible, I get to skate with my homies and my friends, and then help young new skateboarders connect skateboarding through whatever means it is: art, lessons, contests, jams, events. We want to put skateboarders under everybody's feet. You're never too old. You're never too young. There's an 88-year-old Instagram sensation right now skating, and I think it's amazing. And we see 4 and 5-year-olds that just want to scoot around their butt, and we try to make a price point where, get a skateboard there. Get them skateboarding, and we'll do it together. We'll go out. I'll go to the park with them. I'll go hang out. I'll meet their parents and talk them through what I think the best means are for them to skate. And that's sort of Together Skateboarding. Long story short.
What is the linkage between skateboarding and socializing?
My favorite part of skateboarding is the hang. I'm 51. I put skateboarding down for many, many years. I'm not a good skateboarder. I'm a mediocre skateboarder. Now, for a 51-year-old, I'm in the top 1% because most don't skate. But among skateboarders, bottom 5%. I'm not a great skateboarder, but I love it, and I love the hang. I like, encouraging each other to skate, encourage each other to film clips, and be there while a guy lands a trick he's been trying, a girl lands a trick they've been trying. Somebody stands up, somebody drops in for the first time, being there for that. The hang is the most important part to me. Much like as a filmmaker, I like to hang on the back of the bumper after the shoot. And we all decompress. We have a smoke or whatever it is, a seltzer water, and just talk about what we just experienced and be together. And that's my favorite part. So the linkage is deep. It's about being, for lack of a better word, together. You'll hear me say that a lot. I apologize.
It's all about the rap party.
It is all about it. No, in a lot of ways, it is all about the rap party. You've been through all the things together. You've been through the ups, the downs, and then you can look back and actually have perspective and say, wow, this happened, or this could have happened, but it didn't. But you know what? It wasn't supposed to, or however. And that's what I love doing.
So I'm a 90s kid. I'm on the cutoff before the iPad came out. So I'm 30, and I remember we would goof around on the skateboards when we were like 10, 11, 12. No one had a phone. If you had video games, you were allowed an hour a day maybe. But we were just outside, in the yard playing or on the street playing.
We weren't even in the yard. We were on the railroad tracks or, in a ditch. And skateboarding and BMX in the mid-'80s was the thing. That was the way to get away. That was like our little place away from home. And, it was a different generation, different time. We just got on our bikes in the morning and we came home at dinner, and that's, I think a lot of 50-year-olds will relate to that. I have a 6-year-old who like in Brewreytown will just walk outside. We're like, no, hold on, we're coming. It's just a different world and different time. We have different knowledge, but I couldn't imagine. I grew up in Pensacola, New Jersey, right over the bridge, and maybe I idealize it, but I can't imagine a better time and place to be a kid than 1980s Pensacola. It was magical.
Should you disrupt children while they are skateboarding?
I don't know what you mean by disrupt.
It's a loaded question. There's this gentleman named Jordan Peterson who I'm a big fan of, and he has 12 rules for life. And one of his rules is do not disrupt children while they are skateboarding. Basically, let kids live, let them play.
Oh yeah, and so I don't really know Jordan, but I know Jonathan Haidt, and one of his things is let kids climb trees. Like, climb the fucking tree, break your arm. Like, we're gonna have to learn how to fall. One of the great lessons of skateboarding is you're gonna fall. Will you get up? It's Rocky. We're in Philadelphia. It's not how many times you fall down, it's how many times you get back up. Skateboarding teaches you that every single day. It's humbling every day you get on a skateboard. I'm 51. I'm trying to get a kickflip before I'm 52. And it's humbling. I've got cuts on my legs and, I got to lose some weight. There's all kinds of things. But you have to deal with it to do it. You have to be present and you have to try. These are like basic things in life that we skip. So no, if you mean disrupt a kid that's trying to like huck himself downstairs, no, don't disrupt that. No way.
As you were pursuing togetherness with your wife, what were ways that you might have explored connecting?
Yeah, when we were opening the store, before we were opening the store, I read somewhere online or heard a podcast with Brene Brown, and Brene Brown has this chart, Dare to Lead, and it's a list of core values, and she suggests we select our core values and talk about them and share them with one another, since we're a partnership, and we're a partner as a family, and we're a partner in business, and with all of that comes differences. So it was very important to like look at each other's core values, not judge them, and figure out how we can integrate any differences we have together. There will be simple differences like security, money, whatever, versus community, service, or those sort of things. And you just have to find out what that means to your partner and then how you can serve that and be present for that for my partner. And that's what I try to do. I'm not great at it, but I try.
What are ways that you try to understand where your wife is coming from? How does understanding play into your relationship?
Well, understanding is a core value of mine. And this is like hippy dippy or woo woo, but I don't believe in right and wrong. I don't believe in good or bad. I'm indifferent to those things. I think it's very important to understand the person you're in front of. And by the same token, I'd like the person in front of me to understand me. I don't really think we get one go around on the planet. So like how you go about it is your own way. It's your own path. And being able to understand how you're navigating that and being able to understand how your partner is navigating that. They may be on different trajectories, but if I can understand, I can be there with them. I can be present for them. I mean, I think it's important in any relationship, whether it's husband, wife. I have 2 sons. They're 10 and 6. Being present is very important. And to be present, I think you have to understand where they're coming from. You have to understand what their needs are and what their wants are. And then understanding, is a need necessary? Yes, let's serve the need. Is that want necessary? Well, maybe you don't get the Legos right now. Is the need, by understanding where someone is and what they need, being a partner, being a husband, it's just important to be able to understand those things as deeply and as honestly as possible, so that it can be the best relationship I can have.
What are ways that you try to understand if you're not understanding at first?
Well, the key to understanding is listening. Like a lot of times, almost always people will tell you everything. They'll tell you everything, whether it's with their eyes, whether with their mouth, whether with how they hold their hands, how they sit. They're telling you something. They're sending you signals. And then being able to not judge the signal and being able to not judge the situation and just listening and you know, participating in the conversation with the person, you're going to get to a common ground. And that's what I try to do, and that's what I like to do in kind of all of my work.
Tell me a bit about being of the latchkey generation, kind of the self-reliance that might have instilled in you.
I was very lucky that my mother stayed home until my sister went to, I can't remember which grade, but you know, I had mom at home making dinner, kind of all American. Dad went to work, mom stayed home, then mom went to work, maybe middle school, something like that. And that was, I had friends that were more like they had a key around their neck kind of situation. We were very well, not that they kept a thumb on us, but we weren't alone. Mom and dad participated in a lot, in everything. And you know, my dad was a baseball coach and was with us for baseball. And even in skateboarding, he would take me to, like, if we went on vacation, he would take me to the skate park and like really push me to drop in or do something that I was nervous to do. And as a kid, I was like, oh God, Dad, leave me alone. But like as a father now, I was like, oh yeah, hell yeah. That dude was there doing it, you know. That just comes with age. But you know, so we weren't like latchkey kids at all. We were definitely two-parent household with, you know, parents that were present for us. So I can't claim that, although I grew up with kids from all over the neighborhood like that, you know, two parents working, and we just didn't have that at a young age. As I got older, mom worked overnight shifts, dad worked overnight shifts. We took full advantage. We threw parties in the house while they were working. I had to deal with that later too, but you know, we were very cared for.
Can you tell me a little bit about how maybe you've noticed young people today might not be socializing as much, might not be, you know, ET, riding the bikes, doing the skateboard thing, you know, in the street in their middle school years as much as when you were
I
going
don't
through
know
that?
if I know any middle schoolers.
Okay.
You know, I don't know teenage kids. I have like genuine concerns about people's participation in social and them believing that's the real world and not an imagination or a delusion of like a real world. I have a very, I have concerns about like the kids, but you know, on one hand, kids are more in tune with their emotions. They're more in tune with their own wants, needs, desires, and you know, I think in some ways, as a labor force, that's outside of middle school, but like young people, they stand up for what they're worth, and I really admire that and appreciate that. I don't think our generation did that in a way. I do think that there's, you know, I'll sound like an old man. There's like a little couple work ethic differences and blah blah blah, but that's just how old people talk.
Could get into the barista strikes in Philly.
Nah, I mean, listen, I think they should all be paid. I say this to my baristas, and I say this in complete honesty. It hurts me to see how hard it is for young people to pay rent and to have a sustainable lifestyle and work a full-time job. I can't pay people a living wage. I can't. I can pay them, you know, a decent rate, and we can make sure that their tips make them whole. But I would very quickly go out of business if I were paying $60,000 a year to a couple of baristas. I can't do that. And I really lament that. And I do think I grew up in a bit of a golden age where I could get an apartment on Broad and Spruce for $450 a month out of school and figure it out and like go fail a little bit and live alone. And I don't know who can do that. That's really difficult. And I am genuinely empathetic and sympathetic to the young people that are growing up in this, whatever this time is. I can't put my finger on it. This late capitalism thing that we live in. It's rough. And I feel for people that have to deal with it.
What inspired your pursuit of sobriety?
Well, I'm like a run-of-the-mill drunk. I'm like I can talk about it. As a young person, I got in a fair amount of trouble. Outside of high school, I had a bit of a drug problem, bit of a drinking problem. And I sacrificed skateboarding for drugs and alcohol, and I do regret that. I don't have many regrets in life, but I wish I had stayed skateboarding. But, and I got sober at a young age, and then thought I was, I had a really pretty kick-ass career. And, I got to be about 30 years old, and I was like, I got this licked. And I started drinking again, and that went on for another 15 years. And it wasn't so much that, like, I don't even want to judge myself, but I would say it was with two young kids, I could be present and go out till 4. New York City is 4 a.m. and, get up and do it again. And I couldn't do that. And I couldn't keep a career, keep partying, and have children and be a good father or husband. So it was just, for me, it's a simple choice. It was not a difficult choice. It was very much, it almost isn't a choice for me. It's just like, this is just a better life. I want to make one quick, and I don't want to speak outside of the program or speak for the program or speak to the program, but I do like to make a difference that I don't think of sobriety as the goal. Even drinking, I had thousands of sober days. I think of it as recovery, and I think of it as like healing, and like, I'm the kind of drinker that drinks to cover up emotions. So for me, it's like every day being with whatever's happening is important to me. And, I just saw a thing online I'm 51 years old, so I'm 66% of the way through my life, according to the life expectancy. And so why waste, a day being hungover? That seems like crazy at this stage for me.
I took alcohol out of my life 2.5 years ago. I did, like a few hundred sober days. And yeah, just like you're saying, it was not aligning with my core values.
Yeah. Eventually it becomes a job in its own right. It becomes, you're maintaining your, for lack of a better word, alcoholism or whatever your ism is. You're a slave to it. Dude, the thing that made me quit smoking was like, the Philip Morris guys suck. They're just disgusting. I don't want to give them my money, And at a certain point, like, the booze companies are handing you poison. Like, let's maybe not hand the poisoners our money. There's a zillion reasons why not to drink. For me, it's just the hangovers are just brutal in the 40s. So if you can get out of there before your 40s, I encourage it.
Yeah. Wow. Powerful. Love that. We touched on this earlier, but can you tell me a bit more about how your social skill development as a skateboarder and your community as a young person might have helped you in your pursuit of the film career, which is a very social craft?
I never really put it together. I'm an extrovert. I am a person who I don't need to be the center of attention, but I like to be a part of what's ever happening. And I don't know that they coincide, my film career, my television film career and my extroversion. But like as a producer, I am somebody who wants to make it happen. I used to wear a t-shirt. I'm here to make it happen. I want to make it happen. I want it to happen for everybody. I want it, I'm blessed that I don't have the dream to make the great American movie. It was never my thing, but I knew this was a good career. It was good work. It was respectable work. I don't know how much to share, but when I got out of the Art Institute, I'd been relatively newly sober. I had a bit of a criminal record. So to me, the television business is, I ran away and joined the circus. Like, nobody judged me. Nobody knew my past. And nobody cared. They were like, can he make it happen? Can he do the work? Can he show up day after day and hold the camera or drive the truck? The work was respected. The work became important. And in a lot of ways, I put the work in front of myself. to find myself. And that's where I found myself, is in kind of television production, film production, and then being able to show up and do the job. I approach it very much like I have a lot of little goofy phrases. I'm not wearing a beret. I'm showing up with a hard hat and I'm doing the work. I'm not like, I'm going to get it done. I'm a hammer. I'm not an X-Acto knife. And I'll just get the work done and we'll get through it. And that's how I approach it. And I think it's been, it's worked for me. It's a craft, not an art, television. Like, television's a craft, not an art. And I really find respect for myself in the craftsmanship of it. I think that, when I came up in the early mid-90s, late 90s, in the sort of reality, it was new. It was documentary, it was forming reality TV. And it was news shooters. It was like craftsmen. It wasn't, people didn't go to film school to learn how to do this. You went to film school and you had a dream, but you did this for work. And I always respected the work. I never, ever looked down on the work. Reality TV gets a bad name. Even reality TV producers changed it to unscripted. And, I've always respected it as work. And as a Philadelphian, we're work ethic people. We're like, the football player that works hard might not be the best player, is the guy we love the most, and that's just the guy who's gifted. We might hate on a little in Philadelphia. For whatever it's worth, Rocky's our patron saint. We're working people, and I was able to approach a TV career through that lens, and it's worked for me.
Can you tie in work ethic and growth?
Of course, I think. First of all, I think one of my core values is growth. I want to be growing. And you can grow in any number of patterns and forms and shapes and directions. But if you set a goal and you try to grow to it, you have to put in the work. You have to work to grow. That doesn't just happen. The next thing you know, if you just think you're going to grow without putting in work, you're going to be standing alone somewhere like, what happened? I'm just not about to let that happen in my life. Like, I'm going to work towards what I need, towards what I want. And, you hope you don't step on any toes on the way. I try to be as delicate as possible, but I'm going to try to get the most out of this life I can. It's a short one. So, yeah, excuse me. So I think work ethic can't be taken out of growth. You have to work to grow. You can plant flowers. If you don't water them and you keep them out of the sun, they're not going to grow. You have to do the work to make those flowers grow. And I think that's it. You just have to work at anything you want to do. Like, I've met so few true geniuses and gifted people in my 51 years, but I've met dozens that think they are, maybe hundreds. And I can count them, and I've met a lot of people in my life. I'm not bragging. This is just like the luxury I've been afforded. There's so few true, I can make it happen people. It's work. The most successful people I've ever met work their balls off, their skirts off. They work. I just respect work. I can't help it. It's like, I should have put that as a core value, but I think you have to do the work. You can't just expect it to happen for you. And maybe that's a 51-year-old guy kind of mindset, but I just believe that nothing happens without working towards it. Just like that kickflip that I can't land. I know I should be working harder on it. I know I should. And that bothers me, but I'll get to it.
So you work with a lot of younger people. You're their boss. Can you make any connection between, or can you make any differentiation between lazy and lost?
Yeah. It's easy to get lost. It's unacceptable to be lazy. It's very easy to be lost, and you'll find your way back. If you're lost, keep at it. Keep working. Keep looking. If you can keep a North Star, you can keep a goal ahead of you, you're going to find your way back to it. Getting lost is part of the process. I'm lost today. This morning I was lost, and I'll be back. You're going to get lost on a journey, especially if you're doing it right. If you're doing it right, you're going to get lost. If you're lazy, fuck you. Like, I don't have, like, lazy's not acceptable. You can't sleep through life and then expect something on the other side. And even I've met the children of wealthy people who you would say, oh, they've had everything handed to them. God damn it, the ones that are doing all right worked hard. I know they had a leg up. I get it. And I agree. You know, my dad was a manager at a Pathmark, and my mom's a nurse. Like, we're, you know, working class people. As a young person, my prejudice was rich people. And I've shed that as I've gotten older, because it's hard to be the son of a rich person too, or daughter of a rich person, and then have to find a goal and work towards it. You know, it's easy to get lost doing that. So, you know, I just think everyone gets lost. Dude, that's great. If you could go like, hey, I'm lost, then you can find your way out. But if you wake up and go, damn, I'm lazy, that's going to hurt. That's going to stick with you. You're going to be like, I could have done, I should have done, I would have done. Those are the coulda, shoulda, wouldas are the things that are going to, like, only if. Those are the things that are going to crush you on your deathbed. You don't want any of those left. I wouldn't want them.
They're going to crush you for your life.
Yeah. I don't ever want them.
What inspired you to pivot from full-time entertainment industry to opening a coffee shop in Philadelphia?
I think it was about having choices. I didn't want to have to take the job in Knoxville, Tennessee for 8 months, because that's how we were going to get money and how we were going to eat. And with the state of the industry today, God bless that job. I hope that exists for me. But I also didn't want to have to rely on you know, these jobs that are very competitive now. I'm pretty successful. There's other super successful producers, directors out there, better resumes. You know, I know that the market is tough.
That's so cool. So you actually created a little restraint for yourself.
Yes.
To not be taken away from your family and everything for 8 months.
Yes. It's a little wiggle room. Now, listen, we took on a lot of debt. I still got to work. You know, but I finished last week a documentary for Amazon with NFL Films and 914 Pictures here in Philadelphia. Don and Sheena are good friends, and they came to me to help them direct a show called The Home Team, New York Jets. That's about 6 families with the New York Jets through the 2024 football season. The ups, downs. A lot of these people had babies. Some of the guys were playing for contracts. Some of the guys are stars, and they're playing for pride and to finally win at the Jets. And, you know, I was very lucky to be able to have that work and that job and close to home and with people I love, admire, and respect. That's the goal and the choice. Working with these people who are, you know, Don and Sheena are, they're 914 Pictures, and they made 𝐃𝐲𝐬, which is a giant hit on Amazon, and they've made movies about Kurt Vonnegut and DeLorean, and they made Rock School, and they've made these beautiful documentaries, and they have a wonderful documentary career. And for me to work with them is a privilege. They're my friends also, but that privilege is like what I've afforded myself, and I'm happy to be in the position of like, hey, we got the shop up and running. Let me go do some work, and I'll come back in 9 months and get back to it. And I'm happy to be back in the shop. I think the show's in good shape, and I'm excited for it to premiere.
Ron, how has transparency and honesty and being authentic served you well in the cafe industry while learning skateboard tricks and in the film entertainment industry?
Well, I think being authentic, being real with who you are is it's my chief core value. It's being, I wear my heart on my sleeve. I'll tell you what I think. I'll tell you what I feel. And it's important, because if you walk around with resentments or things unsaid or things undone, you know, I find that is triggering for me. I don't like that way of living. So I just think it's very important. I think we came to Brewreytown from Brooklyn at a time when people were coming to Brooklyn, I think we came to Brewreytown from Brooklyn at a time where a lot of people were coming to Philadelphia from Brooklyn, like, oh, these Brooklyn people. Now, granted, you know, we owned a house here for a long time. I moved into Philly in about 1997, and we moved to New York in 2009. We're a little different, but like, you know, there's an eye roll like, oh, it's Brooklyn people. We're not Brooklyn people. We lived in Brooklyn. We're Brooklyn people in a sense, but we came home. And I think being able to tell our story and then have people to hear it and understand it is important. I think storytelling is what separates us from the apes. So being able to be real with our story, not hide like, oh, we're this or that. Like, hey, I'll tell skateboarders, I'm not a great skateboarder. I love skateboarding. I just have to be real with it so that we know where we're at. No, they're not expecting me to roll out, a hard flip when we go out and shoot some film. I'm just like a guy pushing around a skateboard that loves skateboarding, and I'm here to serve the skateboarding community. If I were here saying, like, I used to skate Love Park back in the 90s, and you might remember me, I'd be full of shit. That would be false, and I'd get called out immediately. Saying I'm anything that I'm not in a skateboarding world where that is your identity and your authenticity are core tenet of the entire thing. If I tried that for a minute, Philadelphia would blow me up. There's no bullshitting. You can't bullshit a skateboarder. You can't bullshit a skateboarder. You just can't. You either have a trick or you don't have a trick. You were either there or you weren't there. You either know this or you don't know this. Like, there's no... Skateboarders are a particular breed, and, like, we're not trying to be anything we're not. We're trying to put first skateboarders... We're trying to put first skateboards under kids' feet, and hopefully they grow with us. And we sell them their wheels and their bearings next year, and trucks when they need them. And when they want to learn something, like, come in and talk to the guys and girls and figure out, like, oh, I'd like to try this. We want to grow with kids. There's already a Nocturnal. There's already a Zembo. They're beautiful skate shops, core skate shops that are integral to Philadelphia skateboarding. There's Antics over the bridge. They got South Jersey on lock. They're the shit. They're great. We're just a little shop up in Brewreytown that, like, we serve coffee. We're a hang. And if you want to skate, come see us and we'll try and help you skate. And that's the real thing. We're not trying to, like, sugarcoat anything.
What's been bringing joy to your life?
Well, skateboarding. Skateboarding brings joy to my life. And, for so long, I was, as a kid that got in trouble and then sought a career, and they got a pretty successful career. I thought the work was the most important thing. And you've heard me say, like, I do think work's important, but I didn't take time to feel joy. And I got on a skateboard again and I said, wow, I love this. This is like, I feel connected. I feel like in tune. I feel like really joyful. And I remember going home one night and saying, like, oh, you can't. That's not cool. You can't do that. Like, what the hell? That's crazy. So, being on a skateboard, just pushing around and whatever. Maybe I roll and grind something, or I I pump around a little mini ramp and I just feel myself weightless for a second. That's joyful. And I feel like I'm allowed to feel that. And skateboarding allows me to feel that. I'd be remiss if I didn't say my children also bring me great joy. They're the most psychedelic experience I've ever had in my life. Nothing will open your mind larger than, two young dudes that, like, live in your house. Yeah, they also bring me an incredible amount of joy.
Is it possible to be successful in the entertainment industry and start a family at the same time?
Yeah. I think it's encouraged. I think you have to get there on your own accord, but, like, of course it is. Yeah. I think every business is hard to crack right now. Like, if you're in finance, can you have kids? I don't know. It's hard. Like, that seems harder to me. If you're studying to be a doctor, that's not the time to have kids, but you're 27, you're prime. I don't know. It's hard to have kids no matter what your career, but this is no different than another industry. Entertainment being an industry is no different in having kids, in my opinion. I'm not in front of the camera. That might be different. If I were a woman in front of the camera, that's different. But, like, no, I don't. I think you can do both.
What's next for you and the skate shop?
This year, so now that my project's done, my goal is to grow the skateboarding side. We have a couple events coming up. We have a skate trip with some guys. We're going to go film in New York City. And, I just want to make sure that people know we're skating and we're out there. And if you need skateboards, you can come together on 27th and Thompson. and we'll be there for you. We'll have the stuff. We'd like to keep you out of the Zoomies and Amazon if we can. Like, support your local skate shop. Anybody that buys from Antics or Knock or Zembo, I'm fully about it. Like, go do it. Zembo's opening a new shop. Like, go buy from them. Give them money for rent. Like, I'm cool with it. Like, stay on Amazon. Stay away from Bezos. Like, that's my little political 2 cents. But like, next for us is more skating. Like, just skating. We just added our beans to bags, and that's like really exciting. So each grind is labeled for like a skate grind. We have Smith. We have a crooked grind, which is our everyday espresso roast. We have a 50-50, which is a little bit of dark, a little bit of medium, and then our Smith is our everyday roast that we do. It's sort of mellow back Smith. If you got it, it's stylish and delicious.
Do you have a roaster?
We use Dripped in South Philly. Blaze has been incredible. We've grown together in the last year and a half. We hope to this summer add canned cold brew, and they're great. A short, why go back in time? Yeah, Dripped has been wonderful with us. Their customer service is outrageously good, and people like our coffee. The beans are good. It tastes good. So we're really happy there. So growing the skateboarding is key. Our neighborhood coffee business is excellent. We see you.
I'm there
we
4
see our
days a week.
neighbors. We see. We've core to us is community, and I think we have like a 3-block capture in every direction, and we're doing really well. I think if we can grow our skateboarding, we can branch out in different directions, and just generate a little more excitement and interest in what we're doing.
Ron, thank you so much for coming today.
It's my pleasure. Happy to be here.